another episode of Waste Management. This show is one I've been wanting to do for a while, been looking forward to it. Sit down, listen, learn something. This show will help you living in Florida, living in any place where there's water. What we're doing a show on is water safety. With me today, we have our guest. Introduce yourself.
Noemi Zaharia, I'm the director of the Aquatic and Fitness Center.
And what do you know about water?
I know a lot about water.
Well, fill me in.
I like the water. You want to talk about my background? Is that what you hint to?
That's exactly what I'm hinting
All
at,
right.
yes.
Well, I'm a two-time Olympian, two-time Olympic medalist, 9-time world record holder in swimming. And I've swum my whole life, and I also coached over 20 years Division I college as a head coach.
But how does this relate to water safety?
Well, swimming happens in the water, so we're going to start with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's really about, I have two boys myself, so I wanted to make sure that they learn how to get water safety, safe around the water at 3 months old, which is super early, but because of my former job, it was very important to me. And I'm extremely passionate about that because we live in Florida, as you mentioned, and there's water everywhere, from canals to backyard pools to ocean to lakes to you name it, it's everywhere. So, you know, every day you listen to the news, pretty much you hear some tragedies. So educating everyone about why it's important to be safe and how to be safe. You don't have to be a strong swimmer, and I think that's a big myth. I know we're going to get into to talk a little bit more. What can you do to be safe around the water, respect the water, and how to work with it in order not to get yourself or anybody you love in trouble?
Okay, so let's start talking a little bit about the water safety. Let's suppose I can't swim, and I happen to fall into a body of water. What do? Well, I know what I would do, yell and scream, but...
Well, the hardest thing to do for anybody who's in the water and is not comfortable in the water, because that's kind of what water safety is, being comfortable in the water, is panic. So the hardest thing to do, and is to teach somebody, is to be calm on those moments of crisis. So, again, try to be calm. Try to tread water the best you can to stay afloat.
Well, we know calmness isn't going to happen. If I can't swim and I'm in water,
you try, yes.
But what do I do?
Well, it really depends. Again, if you're in shallow water, the first thing you want to try to do is see if by any chance you can touch the bottom. Okay. A lot of times you might be in 3-4 feet of water and you think, oh my gosh, the water's so deep, and you see people panic. As soon as you tell them, okay, stand up, just stand up. They stand up, the water comes to their waist, and they realize, oh my gosh, I panicked for no reason. So again, depends on the body of the water. Are you in a pool? Are you in a lake? Can you see the bottom of that water that you're in? Because if you're in a canal, if you're somewhere that the water is murky, you're not going to see the bottom, and going for the bottom of the pool, not a good idea. So again, you have to evaluate where you are. And most importantly, I know we're going to talk more, but you have to, if you're not a good swimmer, try to not to get in the water unless it's a lifeguard or somebody like that around that can rescue you, and never ever go alone. You know, and I know this is more, we're going to get into that, but you cannot, you know, so there are different scenarios to kind of be able to answer your question.
Okay, you started with, okay, so the first thing, if you're falling in a body of water and let's say you're alone.
Yes.
Try to take note of the bottom, try to stand up.
Correct.
Let's suppose it's too deep.
Then you try to see if you can, of course, yelling it helps, because if somebody's walking around, to kind of get somebody's attention to see that you're in trouble. As always very, very helpful, okay? In the same time, to look around to see where's the shore, where's something you can grab onto to float and deal at least some kind of help comes around. So those are the first things you do, because, but again, are you at a pool or you're somewhere in the middle of nowhere and this is happening to you? Because if you're in the middle of nowhere, the chances of somebody coming by, unfortunately, are not the best. But if you're around the pool or ocean or somebody will be walking by and see you in distress, they will be definitely finding a way to help you out.
Let's suppose I was taking a cruise.
You're in the middle of the ocean.
In the middle of the ocean, and I fall out. What should I do? Just say goodbye?
Well, hopefully somebody saw you, that there's, you know, this signaling the alarm that you're in the water.
They wouldn't send anyone after me. No. So.
Well, it's really, you try to hold on to something to float, because floating equals you're able to get some air, which means you can calm down. I can have my air. Once you're calm about having air, you can think more straight, because obviously the reason a lot of people panic when it comes to drowning or close to drowning or their perception of drowning is the fact they cannot breathe. So the second you have that calmness, I can hang on to something. And what I mean by something can be an empty, soda bottle, a milk jug, something, anything, of course, a buoy or something like that would be ideal, but I'm thinking things that could be floating around. Anything you held on to that you're able to do that, and try to float on your back, because again, by relaxing, floating on your back, you're up and you're able to breathe. And this is when you calm down a little bit at least.
So basically, first thing, look for the bottom, look for the shore. If you're not by that, then try to grab something so you can actually float.
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's suppose there's nothing around.
Well, the best thing you can do, again, just is try to maybe float on your back and slowly try to get to the shore, because that's really your only chance to, and keep periodically looking around to see somebody's around to yell for help. It's never advised to go, especially somewhere in those kind of situations, by yourself. This is why it's always good to have what we call a swimming buddy, because you have somebody with you. So if one of you gets in trouble, the other one can call for help. It's so, so important, because many things can happen. You can both go for a swim. You can be great swimmers. You get a cramp. Something happens. You have the other person, one calming you down, helping you, asking for help, calling for help. You're able to save yourself. So it's not a good idea to go by yourself.
Okay, so...
As much as possible, of course.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yes. So basically bottom, side.
Correct.
Feel for something. If not, floating device.
Anything that can float.
If not, well,
just
don't panic.
Try to float on your back, because everybody can, yes.
So don't panic. Let's suppose, I'm going to talk about the ocean.
Okay.
We have riptides.
Yes.
What? Tell me about those.
Riptides are the ones that really, a lot of people, that the current of water just kind of really takes you, and no matter what you do, it takes you. They usually pull you out in the ocean. So this is where a lot of people, they try to do, is they try to swim against it towards the shore. Well, even if you're an experienced swimmer and you have your middle of your practice, so you're really fit and all that, you're going to get a serious workout to maybe swim even 10 yards for 30 minutes, because that's sometimes how strong the current is. Now, the best thing to do, and I know sometimes it feels, like going opposite anything that we think logically we should do, you kind of go with the current, and then you go parallel with the shore, that you're able to get out of that current area, and then you're able to come to the shore.
Yeah,
but again,
I think they're fun. I mean,
they're fun.
I think they're fun.
Again, if you're in control. But again, if we're talking, somebody is comfortable in the water, is going to go with the flow, is going to go for the ride, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But if somebody who doesn't know how to swim, think about it, that you're losing every control over yourself, and you know that the more further you get pulled in, you're really not able to touch the bottom of the water, of the ocean. So this is where you panic. So this is where even experienced swimmer, even though obviously I'm an experienced swimmer, I would never go somewhere in the ocean where there's no lifeguard. Or if I go somewhere, I don't go far in at all. Because it's not about how good a swimmer you are. It's about the many things that could be happening at any time. So the lifeguard, it just gives you peace of mind that if somebody is there watching, to make sure they can help you if you need it.
Okay. With water safety, at what age should a person start?
The earlier, the better. That's been my motto all along. A lot of people ask me, they ask me, especially me having my two boys, as I said, I started early at 3 months. Normally around 6 months.
What can you
Normally
do at 3
around,
months?
Well, at 3 months is really about getting them comfortable in the water. A lot of, you start with splashing them with water so they see that it's just water. You don't have to panic. A lot of children, and as they grow up later, they're afraid of water on their face because they never were taught that it's just water. And so they panic. As soon as, again, they have the drops of water, like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. Kind of going back to the whole breathing thing. So starting super early and then getting them comfortable, because babies, they will turn on their back naturally. Okay. It's part of their instinct. I mean, in the womb, they swim, So for them to be in a water and liquid, that's absolutely natural, and they love doing it. And they, on their own, if you slowly guide them, they know how to float. And they literally float. They can hold their breath for a long time, and they're able to you teach them to get to the side of the pool and hold on.
Okay, since you've done this with your children already, so at 3 months you splash them with water, 6 months?
Well, I already at 3 months, I started teaching these kind of things to be able to get to the wall. So by 6 months, they're really comfortable doing that. So a lot of, again,
but what do you do? I mean, like if I had a young child, just throw them in and say, hey, go for it?
No, you never throw them in. No, absolutely not. The idea is to really be super gentle and really be able to just show them it's fun. The water is not their enemy. It's not something to get scared of. And kids look at the parents' reaction. So if they get splashed, they swallow a little bit of water, all you do is start laughing, and you're like, oh, it's great, and then they don't get scared. And then teach them as you go to really guide them towards to the side of the pool, so they learn how to hold on and actually do the monkey walk too.
At what age? I know you start teaching just to float and go to their back, but at what age can you actually start teaching them to swim?
Well, depending what your definition of swimming is. If you're talking about the strokes,
swimming,
at least the
I would
freestyle.
talk about, my definition is being able to move in the water and get to a point.
Okay. My boys, they were able to do that way before 1 year old.
Oh, great.
Way before. And it's, again, something that you keep up. Kids forget very fast. I hear a lot of parents saying, well, I taught my kid last summer, it's all good. Well, guess what? Between one summer and the next summer, they forgot everything. So all these reminders are extremely important to keep at it. And we live in Florida, so we don't have to worry about just being in the water just in the summer.
Sure.
So as much as we can, keep reinforcing those little tools that they learned to how to. And again, the most important thing you can teach them is not to be afraid of the water and get to the side of the pool and hang on. And then slowly, as they get stronger, close to 1 year old, they're gonna know how to monkey walk, so they can get to the steps to climb out. And that's the idea, because kids will fall in the pool at any time. It happened to my boys too, and the same thing. They got in the water, came out, a little doggy paddle type thing, got to the side of the pool, and mommy, and they're calling me, and again, things happen. And not that I wasn't right next to, but it's something we also practiced a lot.
Sure.
I have them practice, so they become comfortable. It became like a game instead of like a life-threatening situation, and it keeps everybody at calm.
Okay, so basically I think we've hashed it over pretty well here. We're going to go out to the pool shortly.
Absolutely.
Where you can actually show us, hopefully we can find a drowning victim.
Well, I think the idea what we were trying to do, I know, is we're going to do is have maybe one of our students or somebody that actually demonstrate with a lifeguard, kind of like what do we do with them and how we show them, again, the water safety. Because water safety, we talked a lot about babies and little kids, but we have a lot of adults.
Can you find this one? Well, we can throw them in.
But you have a lot of adults who are afraid of water, So I think this kind of education, it's extremely important. And the summer coming up, I think it's perfect. And anytime, again, we live in South Florida, so we have summer year-round. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, so basically when we're there, I figure we'll do one with no lifeguard and then a part of it with a lifeguard.
I think it'll be great because, again, you have to show both things. If something happens to you when you are no lifeguard around, what do you do? Especially in a pool. And obviously us having the aquatic center, we're going to be able to show what happens in a pool. If maybe the lifeguard is not there, maybe you're at a community pool. You always have something handy around the pool deck that you can use. Okay, well, we'll be able to show all that at the pool, hopefully, and I'll be able to see the bottom. So it'll be a really nice situation. Okay, why don't we head out to the pool and we'll take it up out there. Hopefully our victims will be there. All right, let's go. Let's go. All right.
Cool programs for hot jobs. Let Miami-Dade College jumpstart your career. We offer bachelor's degrees in film and TV production, nursing, electronics engineering, information systems technology, supervision and management, supply chain management, or choose from 300 other programs to study. You can take classes during the day, evening, weekend, or online. For more info, visit MDC.edu or call 305-237-8888. Get the knowledge and training for today's in-demand jobs. Register now. Miami-Dade College. Fresh thinking is being served at Miami-Dade College. Create your own recipe for success in the evolution of food culture at the Miami Culinary Institute. Learn the skills you need to jumpstart your career in the culinary arts. Turn green into gourmet and celery into salary. Miami Culinary Institute. Food, culture, innovation. Visit us at miamidadeculinary.com. Register now. Miami Culinary Institute. Cool programs for hot jobs. Let Miami-Dade College jumpstart your career. We offer bachelor's degrees in physician assistant studies, biological sciences, education, and public safety management. or choose from 300 other programs. With our flexible course schedules, you can take classes during the day, evening, weekend, or online. For more info, visit mdc.edu or call 305-237-8888. Get the knowledge and training for today's in-demand jobs. Register now.
Okay, here we are out at the pool. We left the studio. Beautiful day out here to show you actually water safety, what we're going to be talking about. We decided actually to break this up into 3 different segments, so to speak. First is, what does a person do if they're by the water, they don't know how to swim, and they actually fall in a body of water? Here we're by a pool, so you can actually see better what's going on. But again, this all applies for lake, ocean as well?
Correct, absolutely.
Okay, great. So what we're going to go over here applies for all bodies of water. So first we're going to do what a person does. If they're by, just get thrown in, what they can do. Then we're going to see if there's someone there to help. And of course, we're going to finish ultimately with a lifeguard to show you why it's beneficial to swim where there is a lifeguard. Okay, let's get started. So we have our first test subject here. So let's see, you're in the water. In the water. Okay, now, can't swim. What do you do?
If he's in a pool like here, obviously first thing you try to do is put your feet down. Try to see if by any chance you can touch the bottom.
Okay, try to see, can you touch bottom?
Can you touch the bottom? All right. So if nothing else, he can actually bob up and down, push up from the bottom of the pool. If that's not as deep, so he's able to reach the bottom. If not, you might want to try to, if there's a lane line, as you can see right next to him, try to hold on to the lane line. And then obviously call for help. Start screaming, yelling. Somebody will hear him that he needs some help. And then slowly, if it's like this, you see how he's pulling himself close to the wall? Mm-hmm. He's able to pull himself close to the wall and eventually climb out. This is, again, in a situation when you're by yourself, which you try to avoid by any means necessary, especially if you're not a strong swimmer. Do not get in the water if there's no lifeguards around.
How would this be applicable in a lake or the ocean?
Well, in a lake, you have, usually slopes down a little bit, so then you still kind of try to do that. There are also roots from the trees, branches, things like that you can hang on to. Hopefully you're not totally by yourself. Always consider also the temperature of the water. Okay, that's one thing we don't think about. Here it's nice and warm, but if you're in a lake or something, it could be cold water. So here, when our winter time, water gets cooler, low 70s, so that's kind of shock to the body. You might get, it's hard to breathe then a little bit. So that's another consideration.
Okay, so basically, if you're by yourself, you fall in a body of water, don't panic, first of all.
Oh, absolutely. The biggest thing, if you can do, try to stay as calm as possible, because if you're calm, you can think straight. You can you can see the branches around. You can see something that you can hang on, that you can pull yourself close to the edge. Yes.
So the second part is, first, don't panic. Secondly, grab anything you can hold on to pull yourself out.
Yes, and then try to see how deep the water is. Don't go down on the water, but just extend your legs and see if you can touch the bottom. Because you might be in 3 feet of water, but if you're scared, you're gonna think you can't stand up, but actually you can stand up. So that would obviously save you.
So that goes back to our don't panic.
Exactly.
Great.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. So we have that. If you're by yourself, basically, number 1, don't panic. Number 2, try to hold on to anything to pull yourself out.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, let's suppose you're there with a friend. Okay, now he's there in the water. What are you going to do? Okay, anything at your disposal, such as?
Kickboard, a noodle, a towel, a basketball.
Okay, basketball. What are you going to do with the basketball?
I can throw it at him. The basketball, since it floats, he might be able to grab on and stay above the water so he can breathe.
What else?
If you have a noodle, you can try to reach out to them, see if you can hang on to it, and then you can pull them back into safety.
Okay, let's suppose you don't have any flotation devices and you can't swim. What can you do?
Grab our towel and try to reach out to our friend so he can grab on and pull him back in.
Okay, so basically you could use anything lying around that you can throw out to him and pull back.
In. Yeah.
Okay, so basically if someone else is around and you can't swim, throw them out any type of flotation device, obviously, or a towel, or I suppose you could rip off your shirt and throw it, you know, whatever to reach out. Okay. So we have that. Okay, how about...
One thing I would really like to add to this is if you don't know how to swim and you want to help your friend, avoid by any means necessary to get in the water. Because think about it, then you have 2 people drowning instead of 1, and then anybody coming to rescue, now you have to deal with 2 people. And then when you have 2, so by any means necessary, even if you're somebody comfortable in the water, if you're not a certified lifeguard to know everything that you need to do, try to avoid getting in the water by any means necessary. So all these techniques that we had Ernesto show, it's exactly how you're supposed to try to throw something in to pull them to safety without actually getting in the water, because it become very dangerous.
Thank you. That's a really important point. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
So you should avoid getting in the water. That should be your last resort.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Even if you're an accomplished swimmer?
Even if you're an accomplished swimmer, because when somebody drowns, the powers that they have out of panic, what they try to do, they actually try to climb all over you to get to air, so they push you underwater. And then, you know, the lifeguards are taught what they need to do. What they actually do is you hold your breath and you go and stay underwater, so they finally let go because you're not a flotation device for them anymore. But it's very dangerous, and if you're not an accomplished lifeguard who knows this in and out to be able to do the right techniques, that's why you never do it. And that's why, but also lifeguards are never alone.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you always have if one guard goes in, another guard is able to come and help from the side, and that's why it's a really, if you want a well choreographed how you go about it, and we're training our lifeguards here at the Aquatic and Fitness Center. They are getting they have recertifications all the time. They have in service, what we call it, every 3 months, that they go through scenarios on how to save somebody, so they don't get rusty and they keep their techniques up at all times. So what we're gonna do now, we're actually gonna let Ernesto kind of respond to like would be a real call. So now we're gonna have the guard actually see somebody's going. So Ernesto, go for it. And he jumps in, and he sees always feet first because you wanna know what's going on, and he swims towards the person in the water. As you can see, they throw out the flotation device, not going themselves, because again, this is where the victim is actually gonna really fight. And by going that device, they're able to hold on and float without actually touching them and becoming 2 victims in the water. So he pulls them to safety, get to the water. Obviously, this was something that we just did, but in an actual situation, the panic is quite big. And as you heard the guard, when he was jumping in, usually we whistle and we have the other guard who's up as well, being aware. So they take over of the surveillance of the pool, while the guard actually takes care of the rescuing of that person that needs help.
Question, let's suppose you're not a trained lifeguard.
Okay.
Like he is, and you're in a lake situation,
Okay.
and you happen to have something like that, and you can't reach the person. Would you say get in the water and extend the float out to him if you can stay a reasonable distance away?
Well, anytime you can give somebody something to hold on to, this is why that like the big circle flotation
So
device.
you would say just throw it and
you can
stay
throw
on
it
land.
and then try to again we're going back to what we just said earlier. Try by any means necessary to stay on land. Don't
Understand.
become a second victim. If you're by yourself, the best thing to do is if you see somebody, if you have a phone handy, which we all do these days, call 911, tell them what the situation is, so at least they're aware, so you know help is coming, and whatever,
Okay.
even if you get yourself in trouble, you know help is on its way, so you're not totally by yourself, stuck out there middle of a lake or canal or something. And speak of canals, here in Florida, we have our million canals. We always have car accidents ending up in a canal. The problem is that our canals are very filled with a lot of things, so you can get really get caught there or really hurt yourself, as there's a lot of debris there. So you have to be, even if you're an accomplished swimmer, you have to be super careful. As you saw, even though he can dive in head first, every time you jump into any body of water, you always want to do it feet first, because obviously you want to protect your head, not to get hurt. So that's the best way to go about it. And this way you keep also a constant eye contact on the victims so you know where they are, because they might be floating around who knows where.
Okay, so basically as a summary then, you said if you can, stay out of the water.
Yes.
Okay, throw a flotation device out to the person.
Yes.
Avoid getting in. Call 911.
Absolutely.
Call for help. Did I miss
or
anything?
call anybody around you. If you see other people, just start screaming for help. Because if people hear that, they will come over and help you. So, and they don't need to get in the water. They can be the ones staying on the phone and talking to rescuers, directing them where they need to go. But if any possibility, especially here in Florida, if you're around the pool or at the beach, go where's the lifeguard.
Great.
Even if you're an accomplished swimmer, you know, many things, currents can happen, you can get a bad cramp, something can happen to you, and it's not about how good a swimmer you are, it's about your safety. So knowing that a person is watching, is there for you, I think gives you peace of mind.
Terrific. Well, thank you. I hope that helped everyone so they won't be afraid of the water. Go and enjoy the water. Always swim with someone else.
Yes, it's nice to have a buddy system. You know, you don't ever go by yourself. Even the ocean, again, always go with somebody. So even if they don't swim, at least if they stay on a beach or on a pool deck, they keep an eye on you. So again, something happens, you have that person there, can act on it. Very, very important to just don't be alone.
And of course, in all possibilities, look for the lifeguard. They're there to help you.